He had marketing and managing director jobs within big companies before he started his own consultancy. He's our opening keynote. He can wake you up. He loves cats and they're mad. Please welcome to the stage the host of the award-winning marketing and finance podcast, Roger Edwards.
Marketing is broken, busted, smashed, kaput, except when it's done with integrity and a deep, almost obsessive understanding of the customer. But from some brands, it's a tsunami of badly targeted emails and intrusive communications. From some big corporates, it's a mass of complexity, bureaucracy, bloat, management speak mumbo-jumbo, and just plain idiocy. It enrages the customer. It doesn't engage the customer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a marketing guy from Edinburgh. I'm also a body combat instructor. So I like to do a little bit of fighting. Today we're going to fight back about enraging marketing, and we're going to fight for engaging marketing. Are you up for a fight? That wasn't loud enough. Are you up for a fight? Fantastic. Fantastic. What I want to do first is have a look at some of the reasons why I think that marketing is broken, and what we can do, because we have that integrity, what we can do to fix it, what we can do to fight back against the enraging. And I think there are three reasons. Reason number one, and I want you to interact with me today, if that's all right. So I'm going to fire some questions out to the audience. Please feel free to shout back or put your hand up. Just to start off, hands in the air, anybody in the room who has a marketing degree or qualification? Okay, so that's about a quarter of the room, perhaps. So the people who didn't put their hands up, I'd like you to help me out. Shout out to me now what your one or two word definition of marketing is. Anybody? Don't be shy. Please don't be shy. Shout words out. Social media. That's definitely part of it. Something else. Come on. Sorry? Customer-centric. Customer-centric. Somebody else? Yes. More. Information exchange. Meaningful exchange. I love the word exchange. Isn't that good? Somebody over here. Knowing the client. Oh, I love that. What's your name? Maura. Well done. I love that. Knowing the client. Knowing the client. One of the issues that I find, I'm a classically trained marketer. I did marketing at university. Is that today, a lot of people seem to think that marketing is just about communications. Just about communications. So social media is a form of communications. So it's part of marketing. But that's not all it is. That's not all it is. If you go, and the people who've done the degree will know this, if you go to university to do a marketing degree, this is what you will find marketing is about. Customer focus, research, segmentation, targeting, positioning, strategy, product, price, distribution, and then communications. There's also people and brand in there as well. But a lot of the times today, especially if you go to America, social media marketing world, it's all about communications. If you read quite a lot of marketing books, it's all about communications. And that's not a big problem, but if that's all we think it is, then we don't have the customer focus that Maura over there mentioned. We don't understand our customers enough to be able to communicate with them. So we've got to find some way of building all of that in. Second reason why I think that marketing is broken. Hands up again. Anybody in the room, please. Have you recently unsubscribed from an email list? Yes! Oh, pretty much everybody in the room. Shout out the reasons why. Why? Rubbish. What was that? Boring. Anybody else? Annoying. Yes. Not worthwhile. Not relevant. Not relevant. So, I'm a marketing person. I tend to subscribe to email lists just to find out what they're saying, to see what the emails are like. And I came across this American marketing person. I'm not going to name him or her. And the headline was something like, "How to earn $6 million in a week without doing any work. Webinar." And I thought, wow, $6 million in a week without doing any work? I'll have some of that. I'll have some of that. So I signed up. Now, this webinar was about 2 months away. And every week leading up to the webinar, I got an email from this person. 2 months until the webinar, which will teach you how to earn $6 million in a week without doing any work. And 2 months out, I'm getting excited about this. And then in the week before the webinar, I bet you can guess what started to happen. Every day. 7 days to go until the webinar, which will teach you how to earn $6 million in a week without doing any work. And then in the day before the webinar, guess what happened? Hourly emails. Now, this gentleman or lady running this webinar was on the west coast of the United States. I'm UK, 9-hour time difference. I went to bed, got up the following morning. Guess what? 9 emails. 9 hours to go until the webinar that will teach you how to earn $6 million in a week without doing any work. 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours, 4, and big bang, unsubscribe. I'm fed up with you. I'm fed up with you. That's enraging, isn't it? Is that engaging? It's enraging. Who watches TV? Do you like the adverts? Do you watch the adverts? What do you do? You're trying to read a media publication on the internet. What happens? Pop up. You've got to zap it. Pop up. You've got to zap it. Video appears in the bottom corner. You've got to zap it. It's impossible to read a media publication on an iPhone now because there are so many adverts. It's enraging. It's not engaging. What can we do to communicate with our customers without annoying them? Annoying was such a good word. So that's the second problem, is that marketing can be intrusive. And that webinar guy, I have a name for him. This webinar guy, I'm going to call Simon the Spammy Webinar Man. Does everybody understand the word spammy? Yeah? Spammy. Simon the Spammy Webinar Man. Okay, reason number 3. It's complicated. Sometimes marketing becomes complicated, especially in big corporates. And I've worked in many big corporates. Here's a few examples that I've picked up. Obviously, UK examples, but I'm sure you could find similar ones here in Albania. This is recently. Through a variety of research techniques, we have identified the 8 steps necessary to get to a more empathetic, near transcendental state that we call brand nirvana. Should we feel motivated by this? Should we feel excited by this? I don't even know what it means. Here's another one. Now, Matt, my colleague down on the front row here, might recognize this. This is the description of the job of the chief of police in London. The chief of police in London. Our chief constable must be able to see beyond the horizons of convention to make the paradigm shift to dream of things that have never been done before, to create a strategic culture across the force that has an embedded ethos of innovation, high standards of service, being evidence-based, being client-centered and victim-focused, and successfully transforming the organization for the future. All I want the chief of police to do is keep me safe and to catch criminals. This is a piece from a financial services magazine. I'm not even going to read this out because there's only one comma in the entire paragraph. I couldn't even take a big enough breath to do it. Here's one that appeared in the Financial Times recently. Ocado in the UK is a grocery company. They deliver fruit and vegetables. Yeah? Over the last 6 months, the center of gravity at Ocado Group has shifted from our heritage as an iconic and much-loved domestic pure-play online grocer to our future as a technologically-driven global software and robotics platform business, providing a unique and proprietary end-to-end solution for online grocery and an innovative factory, applying our technological expertise to adjacent markets and other verticals. What does that mean? Just deliver my tomatoes on time, please. Now, obviously, I've picked some really extreme examples here, but it's gobbledygook. The customer doesn't understand this. So those are the 3 reasons why I think that marketing is broken unless we have the integrity to fix it. So it's not just about communications. It is intrusive and it is complicated. Now, just one question I'd like to ask you. I want you to think about this throughout the rest of the presentation. Think of yourself as a customer. If we, as customers, don't like all of those things, if we don't like the intrusive communications, if we don't like the complexity, why do we think, as marketers, that it's okay to do it to our customers? We don't like it as customers. Why should we do it to our customers? So how are we going to fix this? How is AllWeb Albania, how are all the marketing people in Tirana and beyond going to fix broken marketing? Ladies and gentlemen, if it's okay, I'd like to tell you a story over the next 5 minutes or so, which I hope will illustrate the point. Now, recently, I celebrated my 26th wedding anniversary. Thank you. 26 years. So think back, that was 1993. And in 1993, the company I was working for got bought by a company in Edinburgh in Scotland. And they asked me if I wanted to move to Edinburgh to take up a new job. Now, in that same year, I was getting married. So in that year, 1993, I got married, I moved house to Edinburgh, and then I started a new job. So pretty much all the stressful things that can ever happen to you in your lifetime happened to me in 1 year. And we settled in this house in Edinburgh, and I got into my daily routine. Getting up, having some coffee, always having some coffee. Bit of breakfast, off to the station, catch the train into Edinburgh, day's work done. And after we'd been living there for about 6 months, got up as normal, had my coffee, and I was just about to go out of the door, and my wife says, "Rog, just to let you know, there's this wine guy coming round tonight." And I say, "What wine guy? What do you mean, wine guy?" And she says, "Oh, I answered an advert in the newspaper. There's this wine guy giving away free wine glasses. All you have to do is invite him into your home, and he'll give you a load of wine glasses." And I'm like, do you realize what you've done? You've invited a high-pressure salesperson into our house. He's going to force us to buy a load of really crap wine, and we're going to get a couple of rubbish glasses out of it. Now, I could tell that this is not what my wife wanted to hear. She says, "Rog, just go to work. It'll be fine." So all through the day, I'm getting wound up. I'm gonna have this wine guy. He's not selling me any wine. I'm going to be ready for him. Do you know how you are? You get really tight. So I came home from work. My wife wasn't really speaking to me much. And the doorbell goes, bing bong. Oh, that sounded more like an airline tannoy, didn't it? So I went to the door. I said, right, I'm having this guy. I opened the door. And there was this really rather large gentleman stood in the doorway. And he had these two gigantic wine cooling boxes in his. They were so big. And he was wearing a bit of a crumpled suit. And he just looked like a dodgy used car salesman. And he was there like this. And he goes, hello, Mr. Edwards. I'm John the wine man. I'm John the wine man. And I'm, oh my God, John, come into our house. So he lifts these two big boxes and he brings them into the living room. And he sits down and I said, look, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. But I need to tell you something before we get started, John. I do not want high-pressure selling. I do not want you trying to ram this stuff and make me buy. Is that clear? And my wife sat there going, don't be so rude. Don't be so rude. And John the wine man says, Mr. Edwards, this is what's going to happen. We're going to taste some wine, and I'm going to answer any questions that you have about that wine. And I promise you, that is all that is going to happen. Guess what happened next? I bought 36 bottles. I bought 36 bottles. Why did I buy 36 bottles? Because it was good wine and because he answered all the questions that I had about that wine. Not once did he try the heavy sell. Not once did he try the heavy sell. After that, John the wine man came round to our house 2 or 3 times a year for the next 20 years. And guess what happened every time John the wine man came to our house? I bought some more. Sometimes 24 bottles, sometimes 36, never less than 12. John the wine man developed a deep, almost obsessive understanding of me, his customer. Over those years, he realized and found out that me and my wife don't drink Chardonnay. We're not that good on white. But we love Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, and particularly Malbec and Zinfandel. John the wine man knew this. He never, ever reached into his cooling boxes and lifted out a bottle of Chardonnay. He knew the customer. His communications were on point. They usually consisted of, Mr. Edwards, it's John the wine man. I'm in town next week with my new catalogue. Fancy tasting. Yes, please. That was it. No intrusive conversations, no intrusive emails, to the point. He wasn't complicated either. He never talked about wine and said, this has got an oaky taste, or it has notes of vanilla, notes of gooseberry, or lemon. He just answered the questions. Do you like it or don't you like it? I like it, I'll buy it. Anybody here on Facebook? Everybody's here on Facebook. Right. You know Facebook memories? I love Facebook memories. They come up and you pop, and it tells you what you did last year, 2 years ago, all the way back to the beginning of Facebook. Here's one from the 31st of October, 2009. Now, in those days, Facebook actually started the post for you, and it said your name, Roger, ... and you filled in the rest. So all the Facebook updates from about 10 years ago all started halfway through the sentence. So ... is going to London. ... is having breakfast. This is 31st of October 2009. ... Roger is really cross with John the wine man. His latest selection is just too good to resist. And I bought 24 bottles. The Parliament of Owls Merlot is probably the most astonishing red wine I have ever had. And I bought 24 bottles. And he would phone up next week. Hello, Mr. Edwards. You remember that Parliament of Owls? Well, we now have a Zinfandel. Guess what? 24 bottles. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 years ago, John the wine man retired. John the wine man retired. Now, the company he worked for, now there's the first time I've mentioned the company he worked for. I couldn't even tell you the name of the company he worked for because it was always John the wine man. They started sending me emails. They started phoning me. And guess what the email said? Mr. Edwards, this is Heritage Wine say. We are doing this great deal on this fabulous Chardonnay. Now guess what? We don't like Chardonnay. And then they'd phone up. Is that Mr. Edwards? Yes. Oh, it's Heritage Wine here. We sent you an email earlier today saying we're doing this great offer on Chardonnay. Just wondered whether you wanted to buy some. No, I don't like Chardonnay. John the wine man knew I don't like Chardonnay. Why don't you know I don't like Chardonnay? But it got worse. They started phoning 2 or 3 times a week, emailing every day. Offer, offer, offer. This is Heritage Wines. We've got a special offer on the latest French Chateau de Toilette. We have got an offer on the latest German Pissenwasser. One Sunday afternoon, they phoned up whilst we were having our lunch. It's Heritage Wines. You want to buy some Chardonnay? No, I'm having my Sunday lunch. 90 minutes later, they phoned back. Have you finished your lunch yet? I unsubscribed from the email. And the next time they phoned me, I told them to take me off the list. 20 years, John the wine man came to our house. It took them 3 months to enrage me enough for me to tell them never to contact me again. We can learn so much from John the wine man because he had that deep, almost obsessive understanding of the customer. And that's what I want to turn to next, that marketing is about getting that deep, almost understanding of the customer. Here's how we can take the lessons from John the wine man and put it into our marketing strategy. So I go back to that first problem, that marketing is just about communications. And everybody in the room who said that they did a marketing degree will recognize that there's a lot more to it than that. But if you work for a big company, it may well be that on top of all of this stuff, we layer more. Anybody recognize this? You go into a strategy meeting and we do SWOTs, pests, grids, matrices, a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, pests, political, economic, sociological, technological, I can't even say it, Boston grids, Ansoff's matrices. Anybody recognize any of this? Or am I talking gobbledygook? And Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, I'm not dissing this stuff too much. It's academic, it works, it's worked for a long, long time, but it is complicated. And one of the problems is a lot of the companies that I work with find that it's too complicated to bother with. And that's why they dive straight into the communications, because it's easier to do that. What we want to try to do is to make sure we do all the other stuff, but make it as simple as we can. So I condense all of that down into 3 things that we need to do. First of all, we need to define our offer. Secondly, we have to define our goal. And third, we have to put together our activity. Now, in reality, the activity is the communication bit. the social media, the toys, the shiny stuff that we like to do. But without an offer and without a goal, we shouldn't be even starting the activity. So let's have a look. Effectively, the offer and the goal is the strategy bit. In the UK, strategy is a word that puts a lot of people off. And the activity is the tactics. So, all of those things, research, positioning, segmentation, targeting, all of that, you can do by answering 3 questions. And ask yourself as I'm going through this, have I done this for my business? Have I done this for my business? Question number 1, who is our customer? Now, I work with a lot of financial services companies in the United Kingdom, and this question comes up quite a lot. And the people sat around the table, the answer will usually be anybody between the age of 18 and 65. What, you mean everybody? That's not a target. If somebody says we target millennials, what, 1/3 of the world's population? You've got to be specific. You've got to know who those people are. A specific postcode in Tirana, a specific postcode in Edinburgh, a specific set of likes, a specific set of characteristics. Who is your customer? Define them. Secondly, what is their problem or what is their issue? They're hungry and they need food. They're thirsty and they need drink. They're running a company and they want a marketing course. What is their problem? And this is the most important part. How do we solve their problem better and different to anybody else? Could you answer that question? How do you solve that problem better and different to anybody else? There's a problem with better. There's a problem with better. Because you can only be better until somebody else is better. So you might launch a product with 5 widgets, and then somebody comes along with 6 widgets, and they're better. Until you relaunch your product with 7 widgets, and you're better. But what happens? It becomes a widget war. And before you know it, you are fighting your competitors on numbers of widgets, and your customers scratching their heads saying, we really don't know what's going on here. We don't even know what this product does. But different needs bravery, but different can stand out, and different is harder to copy. So who is our customer? What's their problem? How do we solve it better and different to anybody else? Once you've got that, effectively that's your position, isn't it? That's your position. I quite like just going and coming up with a one-liner. The who, what, or how statement. Could be a one-line statement. And maybe you come up with a few reasons to back it up. Ask yourself, have I got a one-line statement that describes my business? And have I got some facts, perhaps more facts than sound bites, that actually back that up? So now we've got our offer. Effectively, that means we've done the research, we've done the segmentation, we've done the targeting, we've done the positioning. We come on to the goal. Hands up if you've got a goal for your business. Oh, not many hands. Not many hands. Why have you not got a goal? Again, sometimes, smart objectives. Smart objectives, it just sounds academic. It sounds boring. But we need to have goals in our business. A lot of people will phone me up and say, Roger, can you help us with our Twitter marketing? Well, of course I can. And I'll ask them what's their offer and what's their goal. Oh, we just want to be on Twitter. Well, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to have a certain number of followers? Do you want to have a certain number of engagements? Beyond Twitter, what's your goal in terms of market share? What's your goal in terms of profit? Or is it just the number of people on your email list? Is it the number of people who buy? But have a goal, because if you haven't got a goal, you've got nothing to measure. So many people come along, start doing Twitter, and then after a few weeks they say, oh, this doesn't work. It's rubbish. And that's because they didn't have a goal to measure themselves against. I run a podcast in the United Kingdom, the Marketing and Finance Podcast. I've published 220 episodes of the Marketing and Finance Podcast. Most podcasts only last 7 episodes. Why? Because after 7 episodes, most people think, well, this isn't working, I'm going to stop. Problem is, you've got to set a goal, and it takes time. I'd done 33 episodes before I got business from doing my podcast. Sometimes you've got to set that goal and you've got to stick to it. I'm not going to spend too much time on goals, but please make sure everybody who didn't put their hand up, which was most of you, make sure you have a goal. And then we get on to the bit which most of us consider to be marketing, the activity, the communications, the advertising, the promotions. But of course, one of the problems I said with marketing before was it's intrusive, it gets in the way, it interrupts. Content marketing, we know, is a lot more engaging. People like to read blogs, they like to listen to podcasts, they like to watch videos. If it's not selling, if it's answering questions, just like John the Wine Man answered questions, then it's engaging the audience rather than enraging the audience. And that's going to make them want to buy from you more than if you just bombard them with stuff like Simon the Spammy Webinar Man. So that's the first two problems fixed. How do we move away from being just communications? Well, we get our offer and our goal. Second thing, how do we make it engaging? Maybe we use content. We might have to advertise, Facebook ads, Google ads, whatever it is, to get people to the content, but that won't be enraging stuff either, will it? That'll be engaging too. The third problem was the complexity. And these are my 3 rules for keeping content simple. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Gertie said at the start that it's a good idea to tweet stuff out, put stuff on Instagram. This is probably the most important slide of my entire presentation. If there's one slide of my presentation today that you are going to take a photograph of and you're going to post it on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, this is the one. And it's so important that I've given you various different backgrounds. So this is a lovely harbour in Edinburgh, but you might prefer a sunset. Or you might prefer another view of the harbour in Edinburgh. Or you might prefer just the dark black slide. Here are the 3 rules. Assume the customer knows nothing. Absolutely nothing. When you work in any industry, whether it's financial services, motor cars, cupcakes, you will have a language that your industry understands, technical language. But the customer doesn't know these words, and we shouldn't assume that they do. If we assume the customer knows nothing, then no question that they can ask will be too complicated, and no answer that we can give will be too simple. Now, okay, we might upset some people who think you're being too basic, you're insulting my intelligence. But most people like to keep it simple. Second rule, talk in the customer's language. Now again, we don't want to get complicated. I always do drafts of my content by dictating it into my iPhone using the Siri thing. And it just types it out. It gets it pretty much right. I have to put the punctuation in. But the great thing about that is it comes out like I talk. And I don't talk in passive language, gobbledygook, and management speak. Now, Matt here, I've been to the pub with him a few times. Now, if I went to the pub with Matt, the bar, Matt would say something like, "I'll get us a couple of beers." That's simple, yeah? Matt wouldn't say, "A couple of pints of fermented hops served in a cylindrical vessel, a cylindrical clear vessel of fused silica, will be procured by me for the 2 of us to imbibe." He's not going to say that, is he? Buy a couple of beers. Talk in the customer's language. And finally, please don't use industry jargon, management speak, mumbo-jumbo, and gobbledygook. So I think we've got the 3 ways of fixing broken marketing. If you have the integrity, you can make it more than just about communications. You can make it engaging and you can make it simple. But there's a danger, and this is a section of the presentation which I think is very important, and I need your help in this. How can we keep it simple as we start to grow? Because if you start as a small company and you keep things simple in your products and your language, as you grow bigger and more successful, oftentimes you can become infiltrated by complexity later on. So as a way to finish this off today, ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to imagine that this is your first day starting to work for a new company. A new company. And this company is called the Cat Mat Company. Can anybody have a guess what this company does? Anybody? Come on. Mats for cats to sit on, possibly. Yeah? Cats like sitting on mats. You know that cat that was begging for scraps in the restaurant last night? I should have given it a mat to sit on. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine that I am the CEO of the Cat Mat Company. I am going to teach you today our one-liner, our strapline. It is so simple. It is so easy to understand. I'm going to put it up onto the screen, and you are going to see it for about 3 seconds. But I guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, that everybody in this room will be able to remember it when I take it back off the screen. And you're going to be able to remember it so easily that you're going to all be able to shout it straight back at me. Does that sound like a plan? Yes? All right, here we go. I'm going to let you see it for about 3 seconds. Your cat sat on our mat. Now, what do you think? Did you all get that? Yes? I am going to count you down from 3 to 1. And please shout it out as loud as you can. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Hey, that was pretty good, wasn't it? I think you can do that louder. 3, 2, 1. Darko, I love Tirana. All right. So, the company grows. We take on more people. We silo ourselves maybe. We become a bigger company. And we employ people to sell us. Well, you can grow a bit. You can start adding products. And then what happens is things start to change. More people get involved. And things start to become a little more complicated. And all of a sudden, they want to change the strap line. Now, this is the first way it changes. I guarantee you'll still be able to learn this one and fire it back at me. But it is a little bit different. But we'll play the same game. Does that sound like a plan? Yeah? Here we go. Our mat was sat on by your cat. That is passive language, yeah? They've rotated the verb and the noun around. So, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1. That was good. It felt a little bit less easy to understand, though. It was a little bit more forced. You had to think about it just a little bit more. But the management consultant says, why are you just selling mats for cats to sit on? Cats like to eat munchies. Cats like to play with toys. Why don't we do that too? So we diversify. And then we've got, our mat was sat on by your cat whilst playing with our innovative range of cat toys and eating our fishy munchies. 3, 2, 1. See how quickly it can spiral out of control. And then we become big corporate. We've got thousands, tens of thousands of employees scattered all over the world. We become a group company. We do so many things. The lawyers get involved. The customer service people get involved. We have writing and product development by committee. We have marketing by committee. And all of a sudden, our strapline looks like this. The rectangular piece of coarse brown material placed on the floor for people to wipe their feet on was sat on by your small, furry, mottled, ginger grey and white feline creature with whiskers and pointy ears, whilst playing with our innovative range of toys developed using our own lean thinking and resilient doctorate-level analytical research, and eating seafood manufactured from sustainable resources cooked to ISO 2025 standards and meeting our environmental accountabilities. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, there's still something wrong with this. The fact that you can't actually say it, there is still something wrong with that. Anybody like to guess what it is? It's not award-winning. It's not award-winning. You can't see the cat. The other thing that's wrong with it is that the C-suite haven't signed it off yet. They're still worried that coarse brown material might lead to lawsuits. They're worried that ginger, grey and white isn't inclusive enough. This is a proxy. It's not just about language. Your cat sat on our mat could be your strapline, but it could also be your product. It could also be your process and your service. We owe it to our customers. We owe it to our customers if we want to engage with them that we want to be here in the simple box, not here in the complicated box. So the cat on the mat isn't just about the words. It could be about everything that you do. Please don't let complexity seep in. So, ladies and gentlemen, I reiterate as we come to a conclusion, marketing is about getting a deep, almost obsessive understanding of your customer. John the wine man taught me that marketing isn't just about communications, and we've solved how we're going to do that. We're going to have an offer, we're going to have a goal, and then we're going to do the activity. It's not intrusive. We're going to make it engaging, not enraging. And we've looked at how we can stop it from being complex. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a massive, massive privilege to be a marketer. You get to look at your customer, you get to understand your customer, find out their problems, and then build products and services that fix their problems, that meet their needs. And then we have the privilege of communicating how our products and services can meet their needs and actually make a big difference, a significant difference to their lives. And that's a massive privilege. But with privilege comes responsibility. And that responsibility requires integrity. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, after today, we are not going to be Simon the spammy webinar man, are we? No. We are going to be John the wine man. Thank you.